Hi, Editing Rachel here. I wanted to hop on real quick and apologize how delayed this video is. I've been having some serious tech issues with my computer since the beginning of December, mid-December. I've been having a lot of issues with the editing program that I use, and I also have some issues downloading the newest Windows update. It threw a giant wrench in the works, and I think for the most part, I fixed it myself. My editing program is still acting pretty sluggishly, and so I think eventually I'm going to have to bite the bullet and go to Best Buy, Geek Squad, and hope that they can fix it where I couldn't. But in the meantime, we finally got this video edited, and I hope you all enjoy it. Good morning, everybody. I am 45 minutes early to work, so I figured I'll use this time to do a quick little intro so I can get started to reading because we are on a time crunch. It is the 30th. So we have today and tomorrow, and then the readathon is officially over. I was really late in starting this week's vlog, but I feel like I can still create enough content for an actual vlog for this week. When I left off, there was a couple books I had started but didn't finish, and I haven't finished anything yet. In fact, I actually started a couple of things because I'm not feeling what I'm currently reading. So I started Castle in the Clouds, but I'm not necessarily feeling it, and so I started a different audiobook, which is The Holiday Switch. I'm much more into that. In fact, I'm 2/3 of the way, whereas before with the other one, I was only maybe a quarter of the way. I see me actually finishing this if I buckle down and actually, do what I'm meant to do. I haven't finished Letters from Father Christmas yet. That is also on the to-do list. I started Fables. I started this. And the goal is to get at least 500 pages since this is actually a multi-volume book. And I feel like this is something I don't necessarily need to finish as long as like the last segment that I finish hits 500 pages. Because I do want to get the extra points for reading something that's 500 pages. I had to return One Christmas Wish by Brenda something. I don't have it offhand, but because it was really new, I couldn't renew it, and so I had to return it. So that is the one for One Christmas Wish was read something by an author that you're trying for the first time, like giving a shot. And I think that's what the Holiday Switch is going to be for, and use Once More Upon a Time for what Castle in the Clouds was meant to be. Was read a standalone, because Once More Upon a Time by Roshana Chokshi, mispronouncing her name, I'm very sorry. That is small enough to where I see myself actually starting and finishing and then just calling it. We're also in a crunch simply because, yes, I have these 4 books. So Fables, Holiday Switch, Letters from Father Christmas, and Once More Upon a Time. Those are the goals. I have 4 books still to read, but 3 books to finish my Goodreads goal for the year. Hopefully I can complete both goals, finish the readathon with a bang, and complete my Goodreads reading goal. So we're absolutely on a super time crunch, so I'm gonna stop this intro now and get started reading. Hello, it is dinner time, New Year's Eve. So a full day has passed since that last check-in, and I did it. I can't believe I did it. I'm delirious. Started this and I finished this within the last 24 hours. To be fair, I had started a little bit earlier than that. So you know what? I misspoke. I'm over exaggerating as I do. But I did finish this today and I can't believe I did that. Just look at this beast. Now, if you're not aware what Fables is a comic book series. And it actually is about all these storybook characters living in modern day New York City. Kind of like Once Upon a Time, but why they're there is a completely different premise. Basically, the adversary took over all the different lands in these different storybook kingdoms, and this person, they don't really say who it is, just the adversary, is basically taking over all these different lands and killing everybody that didn't bend the knee, and all these people escaped into what they call the mundane world. And they've been in New York since it's been New Amsterdam. They don't die. I mean, it's not like they can't die. They just can't die of natural causes because they don't age. And if they're going to be killed, in order to be fully killed, I guess that the more popular your story is among the mundane people, like regular humans, the harder it is for you to die because you're more powerful that way. Not that it's impossible, but it's very difficult for these characters to die. So they have this community in New York. Snow White is like the assistant mayor. She helps runs things. The big bad wolf, Big B, is the sheriff. I'm trying to think who else. That there are just a lot of characters. Like the little boy Blue is Snow White's assistant. There's Pinocchio, who's really crotchety because he hates having to be this 300-year-old person that looks like a little boy. And this community is really just doing their best to stay away from the prying eyes of normal people. Like the first episode, there's like different segments. Like you can tell the first volume was Snow White investigating the possible death of her sister Rose Red, and Big B investigating that as well. And then there was another one where nothing super great up at the upstate farm. Basically, if you can't blend into normal society, like if you're a fable, because that's what they call themselves, fables. If you're a fable who can't transform into a normal looking person, or if you can't afford the enchantment to look like a normal human being, you're sent to this farm. And this farm eventually has to deal with an uprising because a lot of these different beings feel like they're being imprisoned there unfairly because of how they look. So all these different, adventures and things happen throughout the series, and I'm definitely going to continue on with this. This was pretty good. I'm rating this 4 out of 5 stars. Love the concept. I enjoyed the execution. This was very good. Not super enthralled with the art style. I kind of like a more cutesy art style, and this obviously doesn't quite fit the bill for me. I'm almost done with the holiday switch. I think about an hour and a half left of that audiobook. I have a bunch of stuff that I could be doing that I'll have it playing in the background. And this way it'll give me a break from actually reading because I have a headache. Reading as much as I did in the last couple of days, I have a headache. There's another audiobook that's pretty short. Smee? Is it called Smee? I think it's called Smee. And I don't quite recall the author. But that I know it's a Christmas ghost story. I think it's A.A. Barrage. I literally just heard about this ghost story through this TikTok account that I follow, Cosbrarian. She reenacts different fairy tales, and so I thoroughly enjoy her content. And she did one about this, which is about a gentleman who goes to this mansion on Christmas Eve, and they play this like hide and seek sort of game, but it's more like sardines. Everybody hides and one person looks for you. No, I'm getting that confused. One person hides and everybody looks for you, and when that person finds you, they join in with you, and you hide until everyone then finally meets up as a group. And the last person who gets to the group loses. And I know it's a ghost story. And she told this story through a TikTok account, but I was able to find that audiobook through Hoopla, and I'm like, all right, it's a short story. That I can definitely crank out like nothing. Because I was going to read this. This gave me a false sense of hope. Look how tiny that writing is. I feel like if I really buckle down, I could possibly finish it, but I don't want to really. I don't really want to. So we're just going to put that aside. We're still going to read this eventually, but we're putting this aside for now. And I don't have it here. It's on over there. But I'm still reading Letters from Father Christmas. We're finishing that tonight, dang it. And that's it. So finish the holiday switch, which is almost done. Start and finish that super short audiobook. Get that out of the way, which is going to use for take a shot at reading a new author. I've never read this author before. I know this author is just I know this author has been around for a while. I've never actually read any of their works, and I literally just heard about this person and this short story off of TikTok. But I got distracted for a second. Instead of, this one was going to be for Cupid, take a shot at reading a new author. And originally it was going to be One Christmas Wish, but we had to return it. And so I grabbed this one because it's short. But it's almost not short enough for my liking now, especially with the time crunch that we're under. So we're going to read Smee instead to get some points there. Next prompt would be Rudolph, 15 points, read a standalone, and that's what the holiday switch is going to be for. And I think that's it. Hold on. I'm getting super distracted. And I'm probably going to bear with me. I'm going to be repeating myself in a second. Dancer, a book by your favorite author, rereads count, so we're going to finish Letters from Father Christmas for that. Cupid, take a shot at rating new author. Smee, we're going to do that instead. And Rudolph, read a standalone, A Castle in the Clouds. That's what the original choice was, but we're going to read The Holiday Switch instead. So 3 books, and I only need to read 2 to finish my Goodreads goal. But we've got how much time? 6 hours until midnight. And this was for Blitzen, because this was like fate had to choose it for me. And this was worth 30 points and worth every stinking point. So I just earned 30 points. So we officially hit the 100 point mark, I think. So 85 plus 30, 115. That sounds right, 115. So at this point, we have a total of 115 points for Nutcracker. And hopefully, I'll actually get the extra points. If I read everything, I'll actually get all the extra points. And that's the whole point of reading something this big, because the extra points was read something that was over 500 pages. So I'm going to take a break from reading. Like I said, I dropped the book. Take a break from reading. I'm eating my dinner. In this area, I don't know if it's a big deal in your area, but in New England, you get Chinese food on New Year's Eve. That's kind of like the regional tradition on New Year's Eve. Eat my dinner, have the audiobook playing while I get some stuff done. The goal actually is to finish a little bit early. Well, early. I want to finish by 10 o'clock so I can just relax the rest of the evening, because I do have a couple of Zoom calls that I need to make tonight. But we'll see.
Later.
All right, so I reorganized the closet that's in my living room. That kept me busy while I was listening to The Holiday Switch. It was okay. Of course, I was just listening to Lila and Teddy. Those are our main characters. Main characters, Lila and Teddy, they live in this quaint little town that surrounds, like, the focus of this town is, like, that's famous for being the place where this, very famous holiday movie was filmed. So it's a touristy trap, and it starts at the beginning of the Christmas season. It's super busy. Lila is hoping to get into her dream college, and she wants to pick up some extra shifts at this hotel that she works at so she can, make some extra money for college, because she's not entirely sure how she's going to pay for college. But she was denied the extra hours because the owner's uncle. That's not true. The owner's nephew is staying a while in town, and he also needs the money, and so she gives it to him. So they're at not an impasse. They don't get along well at first because he doesn't take the job seriously and she does, and she especially was angry that this guy got the extra hours and he doesn't even care about them. But one day during a shift, Teddy and Lila put their phone down, and they each have a phone that looks pretty similar. And so they each grab the other person's phone accidentally, and then they meet up to switch it, and their relationship builds off from there. They become begrudgingly friends, and then it moves on to something a little bit more. It was cute. To be honest, I'm kind of indifferent about the whole experience. There were some parts that I liked, parts that made me chuckle. But there was also parts that kind of frustrated me. Teddy, he really frustrated the heck out of me. And so they become begrudgingly friends when, after having the other's phone, they realize that the other has a secret. Lila has this book blog that is against her parents' wishes, and she doesn't want her parents knowing. And Teddy is a rock climber, and he's prepping for this competition, and his parents doesn't want him to do that either. So it's their secrets, and she's terrified that he has learned her secret. And so they meet up to switch phones, and he straight up goes, "Hey, I do this, please keep my secret." And her, being Lila, goes, "All right, I don't like that you're keeping secrets, but I'm also keeping secrets, and sure, why not?" And that's when the moment he goes, "Oh, good, I'm glad you decided that, because had you fought me, I would have, told your secret." And I'm like, dude, she was very willing to keep your secret. I don't understand why you chose that moment to then threaten to blackmail her. So I wasn't fully in love with Teddy during the entire book, because I didn't like that he did that. And without spoiling anything else, later on, he does disappoint her again. So I just could have done better, Teddy. So I think I want to rate this 3 stars for right now. I mean, I like that the author created such flawed people. and I believed the world that I was in. I just didn't necessarily love it, so 3 stars. I finished that relatively quickly, so I started Smee by A.M. Burridge. That was the name. I was misremembering earlier, but it was A.M. Burridge. And like I said, I came across the story because Cosbarian, who's a friend of mine on TikTok, she does reenactments of different fairy tales, and I love them. I think she's talented, and they're really funny, and she had done a reenactment of this story. Like, all right, now I'm intrigued enough to actually read the original. It's funny, with the original, for the most part, I wasn't impressed, but the story then like stops abruptly, and I was upset by that. I was like, wait a second, you're not going to continue? So I liked it more than I originally thought. And so I rated that 4 out of 5 stars. Cosbarian's reenactments, though, is much better. Hers, 5 out of 5. But at this point, I've now completed 2 other prompts. Cupid, take a shot at reading a new author. That was for Smee A.M. Burridge. And then Rudolph, read a standalone book. And that was for The Holiday Switch. So 25 points, 15 points. So that was an additional 40 points. All right, so at this point, we now have 155 points for Team Nutcracker. I've completed up to that point. I almost stabbed myself in the face with a marker. That wouldn't have been good. But now 155 points. All I have to do now is finish reading Letters from Father Christmas, and I've completed everything. But I realized I was looking at this. There's one more extra prompt, Slaying It, which is worth 50 points. But I can only do it if I complete everything else. So we are going to finish Letters from Father Christmas, and we're going to see if I can find something super short to get that extra 50 points. Because now that I've made it this far, I want to do everything. I want to complete everything. So it's 8 o'clock on New Year's Eve, and I think we can get this. I think we can get this.
A little later.
So I apologize if you hear my husband. He's currently playing with his friends online, and you're probably going to overhear that. I'm sure you overheard it in the last clip too. But anyways, I finished Letters from Father Christmas. As always, I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I just thought it was such a cute idea that Tolkien did for his kids. So 5 out of 5 stars. That is Dancer, a book by a favorite author, rereads count. And this was 15 points. So it's now on to the extra prompts. I've done everything. I'm now allowed to move on to the extra prompts. These extra prompts I was only allowed to get if I actually completed everything first. I don't need to read anything more except for one. I'll get to that for a second. So Christmas Star, which was worth 25 points, a book that was over 500 pages, and it's the only reason we really pushed through Fables, because I really wanted those points. Christmas Lights, which is worth 15 points, read an ebook. And when I read Nick and Noelle's Christmas playlist, that was an ebook. And Blame It on the Mistletoe, that was also an ebook. So 15 points there. Even though I did read 2 ebooks, it only counts for one of them. So 15 points there. Christmas Carols, again, worth 15 points. Listen to an audiobook. And I had listened to The Matzo Ball. And I had just listened to Smee, but we're not really counting Smee for this one. So The Matzo Ball. Christmas Star, Christmas Lights, Christmas Carols. So an additional 70 points. Oh, I didn't realize my thumb was just blocking the screen there. So an additional 70 points on top of the 155 that we have. So right now we have 225 points, but I can get an additional 50 points, which is Slaying It. That means I can redo a prompt. Where is it? Slaying It, worth 50 points. Only if I complete all the Reindeer regular prompts and the bonus prompt. Redo a prompt of my choice with a different book. I'm going to do Dasher, which is a short story or a collection or a novella. We're going to do a collection. I actually came across this when I was in college, and I graduated back in 2012. So this has been around for a while. And I remember reading this online and reblogging it on Tumblr. But when I was roughly when I started working at my library, probably a little later, because I don't think I've had this for very long now that I'm thinking about it. I was able to find this in the library book sale. I'm lucky at my job that if someone donates it and it hasn't been processed yet, we can just take it. And this one and another one of Cyanide and Happiness had gotten donated, but we're only going to read one of them, not both of them. So Cyanide and Happiness includes 30 never before seen comics, and I've never read this, like in physical format. So there's actually a bunch I've never read. So if I read this, I'm going to complete everything, and just in time too. So I'm going to log off for now, and we're going to do this. We're going to do this.
Many minutes later.
All right. So it is 9 o'clock at night on New Year's Eve, and I completed everything. I just finished this, and it definitely did not age well. This was a mixed bag of good, the bad, and the absolutely fucked up. As a general heads up, there is a trans joke and rape jokes in here as well. These were comic strips that for the most part use vulgar, politically incorrect. What else is on board I'm looking for? Like, you have to appreciate dark humor to really love this. I don't love this. I rated this 2 out of 5 stars, only because there are a few that were really clever and made me chuckle aloud. But for the most part, this did not age well. And of course not. Stuff that we found funny a few years ago, that was acceptable a few years ago, isn't acceptable now. And that's what personal growth is. But a big ol' yanks. But we got 50 points for this. And so I now have completed every stinking prompt for this readathon. That was 50 points, like I just said. So I had earned a total of 275 points for Nutcracker. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my new year. I'm going to put on the TV so I can watch the ball drop. I also grabbed some grapes. I went to Roche Brothers earlier today during like one of my many breaks from reading fables. I walked over to Roche Brothers and picked up some Prosecco, something bubbly, to toast the new year. And I got some grapes. My in-laws do this tradition where you eat 12 grapes in the last 10 seconds of the year. With a catch, you have to stand on the couch while you're doing it. And the man of the house sweeps out the door while the women do this. It's just their particular tradition that they use. And even though we had to cancel our New Year's Eve plans tonight, we were going to go out, but like I said in the previous vlog, our car had trouble. We can't get our car looked at until after the holidays. I think we're scheduled to have our car looked at on the 13th. And we don't feel comfortable driving super far, so we had to cancel New Year's Eve plans. But even though we're here alone on New Year's Eve, we are still going to uphold certain traditions. Well, anyways, I hope you had a great holiday. Happy New Year. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I guess it's ta-ta for now. Bye, guys.